Hello, welcome back to That's English.
Yes, hello again. Sorry, I've nearly finished. These flowers and the present are for my mum. I've brought her a tablet.
Annabelle's mother is retiring today.
Yes, my mum is now 68. You can choose what age you retire now in the UK.
So your mum is now officially a senior citizen, a pensioner.
Yes, but she doesn't like to be called that. There, done. My mum will love this. It will keep her busy.
Today's episode is about retirement. We're going to see how elderly people learn new skills.
In the video, we are going to meet Paul. Paul's a pensioner, but he's not very elderly.
And although he's retired, he still keeps very busy.
So while you watch, find out the answer to this question.
What did Paul realise after he retired?
Realise, darse cuenta.
There you go, your usual.
Thanks.
If I ate cakes every day, Paul, I'd be the fattest woman in London.
If Paul didn't come in here every day, we'd go out of business.
Well, make sure you never do go out of business. Where would I go every morning?
You look busy. I thought you were retired.
I'm 66, but I'm not over the hill yet. I didn't want to stop working completely in case I got bored.
You don't look your age.
Bill, he's not 106. He's a busy senior citizen.
Today's the first anniversary of my retirement.
If I could retire and be as happy as you are, I would.
What did you do before you retired?
I worked for an insurance company, but I always wanted to work outdoors.
Oh, me too. I always wanted to be a tennis coach.
You? A tennis coach? But you're a terrible tennis player.
You see, Paul, I'm not even middle-aged. But working with her makes me feel elderly.
Oh, well, you should act your age. Oh, I love those tablets.
Me too. I'm using it to teach some over 60s about technology.
Really?
After my retirement, I realised that lots of older people don't understand technology, and I've got a lot of computer skills.
What do you teach them?
My daughter lives in New Zealand with her husband and my granddaughter. When they moved, I realised unless I found cheap flights, I wouldn't be able to visit them.
Great. Now, click on Make a Booking.
Goodness, I'll never be able to afford a flight unless I save up.
It's not easy travelling when you're a pensioner.
If I could talk to my granddaughter more often, I'd be a lot happier.
Well, let me show you how to use Skype.
It's so easy to learn with you. I tried to learn to use a computer before, but my last teacher was rubbish.
Really? Who was your last teacher?
It was me, actually. Thanks to me, you're an expert now.
And thanks to all the computer books I've read.
I have to go to my class. Teacher should never be late.
Isn't Paul amazing?
Yes, he doesn't seem old at all, does he?
He certainly doesn't act his age.
These days, being over 60 isn't really old. It's middle-aged.
And, as we saw in the video, middle-aged and older people are learning new skills nowadays.
Yes. Did you get the answer to our question? What did Paul realise after he retired?
After my retirement, I realised that lots of older people don't understand technology, and I've got a lot of computer skills.
He realised that a lot of older people don't understand technology. Well, he seems to be a good teacher.
I'm sure if Paul didn't teach technology to pensioners, he'd be very bored. That's right. In the video, we heard people talking about imaginary or improbable situations. Watch.
If I ate cakes every day, Paul, I'd be the fattest woman in London.
If Paul didn't come in here every day, we'd go out of business.
When we talk about imaginary situations, we use if sentences.
Yes. After if, we use the past simple.
We use would and the infinitive in the other part of the sentence. Would is usually contracted. For example, I would becomes I'd.
You know, Annabelle, if I retired tomorrow, I'd learn to fly a plane.
Would you? I'd open a tea shop if I retired tomorrow.
If I didn't have to work, I'd travel around the world.
I'd spend more time with my baby if I didn't have to work.
When we start with if, we separate the two parts of the sentence with a comma. In part 2 of the video, we find out what Paul's students are doing with technology.
Yes, it's quite surprising. They're learning to do all kinds of things, including betting games like poker and roulette.
See if you can find the answer to our question. How does Paul want to help younger people via the internet?
Hi, Kathleen. Haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. How are you getting on?
Very well, thank you.
OK, now enter your email address. That way, if you forget your password, they can send you a password reminder to this email.
The more things I do online, the more passwords I have. I use different passwords in case anyone tries to get into my computer.
Well, that's a good idea. What sort of things do you do online?
I've signed up for an Open University course in the history of art. And I love online betting.
Wow, are you good at it?
Well, I play roulette. And I wouldn't have won the money for this unless I'd been a good player.
I never have guessed you were a professional gambler.
Mr. Perkins plays poker. His online name's the Texas Kid. He wins all the time.
Is there anything else I should know?
Mrs. Hopcroft. She's a supermodel in Second Life. It's a secret. Let's just say she left the room earlier, and if she hadn't left her computer on, I'd never have found out.
Let's try Skype, shall we?
Oh, Skype is wonderful. My granddaughter and I talk all the time now. If you hadn't mentioned it in your last class, I'd still be calling her on my mobile and paying a fortune. Thanks, Paul.
My pleasure.
Isn't this great? If I hadn't bought this, I'd never have been able to download all the apps. I think you may have to show me how to use some of them.
What a neat little computer.
Thank you, Mrs. Hopcroft.
Let's start with this one, eh?
Well, this one lets you design your own birthday cards.
Oh, those look nice, Kathleen.
So unless you'd started those workshops, Kathleen wouldn't have found out about Skype or how to design birthday cards.
Correct.
Oh. Very nice.
Mr. Perkins has become a national online poker champion and writes his own poker blog. And Mrs. Hopcroft has a new boyfriend.
Online dating at her age.
No, Kathleen introduced them. She knew Mrs. Hopcroft was lonely.
I see.
Now it's time for a new challenge. Young people can all work computers, but lots of them need help with maths and English. I want to do that next.
He's amazing, isn't he?
He certainly is. If I hadn't met him, I'd have thought life ended when you retired. Now I realise that's when it starts.
Amazing. Paul is such an active man, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He certainly loves helping other people learn new skills.
So, how does Paul want to help younger people via the internet? Let's see it again.
Young people can all work computers, but lots of them need help with maths and English. I want to do that next.
So, he wants to help young people with maths and English.
I'm sure he'll be good at that.
Yes, and it's a fun way for younger people to learn.
I think Paul has changed the way Bill thinks about retirement. Watch.
If I hadn't met him, I'd have thought life ended when you retired.
Bill's talking about an impossible situation. He has met Paul and his opinion about retirement has changed.
When we talk about impossible situations, we use the past perfect in the if part of the sentence. If Bill hadn't met Paul.
Bill would have thought life ended after retirement. See, the second part of the sentence expresses the result using would have with the past participle.
For example, if I'd known about Paul's course on computers, I'd have joined it.
And we also contract would not and have in the negative.
If you hadn't said that your mum was 68, I wouldn't have guessed. She looks much younger.
Sometimes we use unless. In Spanish, unless is si no.
Well, I play roulette, and I wouldn't have won the money for this unless I'd been a good player.
So unless you'd started those workshops, Kathleen wouldn't have found out about Skype.
So Kathleen wouldn't have bought that nice tablet unless she'd been a good roulette player.
And unless Paul had started those classes, Kathleen wouldn't have known about Skype.
I hope my mum's not too depressed about retiring. Oh, do you like the retirement card I've got for her?
It's great. Your mum wouldn't have retired unless she'd wanted to.
No, I suppose not.
You know, I agree with Bill. I think retirement is like the start of the rest of your life.
I wonder if everyone agrees. We asked some people, what are the advantages of being old nowadays?
I was born in Africa and then I lived a lot of my years in India. So compared to that, I think old people get a lot more respect here.
I'm not sure that there are any, to be honest. I think it's very, I think times are very tough for anyone these days, for the young and fit and the healthy, and it's even harder for the elderly. So no, there are no advantages as far as I can see.
I think the UK is probably the best place to be old. Got good healthcare, got bus passes, decent quality of life.
Advantages for old people? Well, they're living longer, that's for one. Compared to the most of human history, they're living 30% longer than they normally are.
I suppose there's more financial security, pension, but I think it's harder for old people because families are more disparate and don't live near each other, and I wouldn't say there's anything better about being on, except maybe health.
I think you get into a lot of places for free. You get into museums and a lot of people are happy to let you in for free, whereas us young people have to pay for it.
They don't think there are many advantages.
Well, if you've got money and health, there are lots of advantages, I think.
Well, that's all for today. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.